exactly it.
Gotta be a spring or a creek that's feeding into it.
There's a spring back there.
Or water line
There's a spring, there's right behind our shop. There's a low spot, right beside that little dry creek. There's a spring right there, because my dad would throw a fit if I got near it or anything.
Watch yourself, man. Let's set up here. We're gonna go to space bars and they're talking about, we're looking at now.
Looking at now, with a 5-second delay here.
Yeah.
Say something.
I'm not crazy about this stuff being recorded anyway, or excuse me, streamed.
I think it's
Too much pressure to behave.
I don't do well that way. That's hard for me.
Gotta make sure them thoughts don't pop out through your mind.
Think before you speak.
There he is. I told you not to worry, he'd be here.
What's running late tonight?
At 5 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. All the members are present. The minutes of your last meeting were part of your mail-out packet. If you look through those, are there any changes or corrections that need to be made? Have a motion to approve them.
Seconded.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. They are approved. Next would be your financial reports. And they should be right behind in your agenda packet. Mary Dale and Tommy, if you want to lead us through any of the discussion points related to this.
Go ahead. You got anything? We're about 31, nearly 32% ahead of our income stream. So, and it's a lot due to the rate change at the prison.
Are we through a quarter at this point?
Yes.
1/4,
Right
yes,
at the
yes.
quarter.
Mhm.
So you're saying you're ahead of projection?
This would be through the end of September.
That's a nice place to be.
Well, like I say, we never calculated into the new budget the rate change for the prison. We didn't know how it was going to pan out.
So that will end up being unbudgeted monies
It's unbudgeted monies that we
for
did.
the year.
But we,
It's gonna skew your financial statement
yeah,
in that it will cause it to look like there is a lot of extra revenue coming in. We can adjust that in next year's budget and sort of balance that. But just keep in mind as we go through these months, for the year, it's gonna look skewed. Questions about other things in your financial report?
On the, what are we looking at for income statement, just overall?
this is the summary or this first
The
sheet.
first one is a summary. It brings in all of the charges that all of the account lists that we have.
Are we going into the next one? I had some questions on a few of those.
Okay, go ahead, ask your questions.
On the income statement for the period ending 9/30/2019, specifically, overtime and on employees' wages, looks like that we're way over what we were projecting on that. Was there a main reason for that? 204 SS 900-187, showing 43.2%. Of the year's budgeted in the first 3 months. In other words, almost half of your budgeted overtime you've already spent. I'm just asking if there was a reason.
Sure, to be honest, I'd have to look into it. You reckon it's pulling in the right line item, Mary?
check, I think it is.
Do you see where I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm just surprised, I'm just surprised that it was that much more. It's way over 1.5 times what was budgeted for the same period. Just wondered if there was a major malfunction that caused it.
I can think of, I'll have to look into it.
Because if it continues, you're gonna be way over. My only point. There were several, that were way under, several way over, and I understand in the first quarter of the budget that's normal, particularly on your revenue side. And you have a lot of one-time, once-a-year expenses that come out in that first quarter that sometimes skew those figures a great deal. But that one just kind of jumped at me.
We'll look at it and report back to you this time.
You might send, once you determine what the
Send me an
answer to
email.
his question, you might
Yeah.
email the board members with that kind of answer.
Okay.
I mean, the others, I figured were
Well, it's
pretty
possible-
self-explanatory,
It's
but
possible, we're training, we lost a man, the 1 day a week guy, he got promoted at his job, and he don't work here. But every now and then, he works on an emergency basis now. So if somebody's on a vacation, he's been filling in. But we hired another man to take his place, Calvin Ramsey, who used to run the water plant. And he's been training, and they've been working with him once a week with him until he gets back on his feet, where he run the plant by himself. I just can't see that being that strange one, but
he's a good man. I didn't know you had him back. I'm
yeah,
glad
we
we got him
put him
back.
back. He's gonna take that Thursday, 1 day a week that was down there for Brian Long that was here. And I think Brian might have worked this weekend for one of the other guys on a vacation. So I will look and see if that's what, I can't picture in my mind that we've been doing extraordinarily a lot of overtime, but we'll check it out.
Other questions?
Motion to approve the financials.
A second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. It is approved. Next on your agenda is TAUD 5-year financial study.
You know, he had a conflict in his schedule, he wasn't able to come, so
Okay.
I have the copy of it. I gotta send it back. There was a little something I wanted to check before I give it to y'all, but I think it fixed. I'll email it to you, but he'll probably come next month.
Put it on our
Put it on
agenda
the
for
agenda.
next month. Water loss is the next item on the agenda, and that's a report that's in your packet. If you've gotten a packet tonight, it should be a color-coded sheet, printed horizontal. Blues and yellows will be your colors. Tommy, this is kind of your report, so you want to highlight anything in it?
Well, we just getting caught up for you. We were getting that audit form that y'all saw last time finished for the comptroller. And these percentages, they go up and down compared to what problems you have. You may have more leaks certain times of the month. You fix them and it goes down some.
And some of this is, we'll see some weather-related fluctuations in these totals as well.
We, well, just today we had a 20-foot piece of pipe split plumb into on old Lafayette Road there, is that right? Melrose, Old Lafayette. And just a few months ago, another 20-foot piece of pipe did the same thing with no notice of why.
That's that on that new line that was just put in a year or so.
No, this one, I don't know how, it's not been as long, but
Old
it's
Lafayette
newer.
Road.
Yeah, well, I
It's
mean,
not that old, it,
Couple of years at most.
I don't know if it's possible, it could be defective piping. Pipe was defective. like I said, we've not found any reason, nothing on rock, wasn't. Other than that, I'm gonna try to do a pressure. I want to buy some data logging devices and we'll put it on a fire hydrant and I'm gonna monitor the pressure in that area. Cause we have certain system areas or valves in certain ways that it's possible a pump could be surging that line somehow and put it under some undue stress. But that pressure thing will let us know what that is, if it is happening. Cause anytime the high surge comes on, you'll see a change in that pressure on that line. And we'll see what kind of effect it has.
Questions about your water loss report? Okay.
Looks like it's improved greatly. Am I looking at that right? The yellow line, is that not the
That's
top
this
line?
year's data, the yellow line. The last year's data is this is what we had last year. It'll change through the year, it just varies from, it'll be high one month and gets low the next.
I think in general it's trending better though, if I remember looking at the one
We've
when we saw the
improved it.
full year,
I
maybe
know
a
the-
couple months ago, it
That's
was,
my point.
When
It is
the water
trending
plant
better.
guys told me many times, the one that left, or he went to a full-time position, he can't work here all the time. He was telling me he noticed like they don't pump as much at the water plant.
mm,
Because we're keeping it tighter than we've ever had. We're keeping a better eye on it. We try to get them fixed and move on them and get them done. We're more looking for things than we used to be, you might say.
Okay, we'll go to the engineering reports. If you got anything from Barge?
He didn't call me today or anything, but we did get the final payment in Monday, I think, the $127 odd for the rest of the grant money. And so that's in, I think I might have sent y'all a possible invite if y'all's available for November 6th at 10. He's gonna come do a walkthrough, take pictures.
And that'll be our loan officer with
Lance.
USDA
Yeah.
Rural Development, Vance Hamilton.
Vance Hamilton,
Okay, next we'll move to Mid-Ten's engineering report, Evan.
All right. I don't know if y'all are aware of it or not, but y'all got CDBG.
Yes.
And what that entails is we're gonna put in some zone meters to help isolate where your leakage is the worst. So we've picked spots throughout the system. We're gonna put in 7 of those. It also entails a system that I think y'all been looking at for some time. They'll do a automatic read on your meters and nobody has to actually go ride and pick those up. That's any meter, residential, commercial, and the zone meters. So under this job, we'll get 80% coverage is the one that we bid out. So it's 4, they'll be putting the system on 4 of the tanks to transmit all this data. And I can't remember how many was on the
Will that be-
95%, but I mean, it'll leave y'all with a lot less to have to install to get 100 or 9. They're never going to get
Will
100%.
these automatic meters be the same brand as
Yeah.
we have on the
You're
residential?
gonna read the same meter.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all of that system. So it's
Yeah, you're just changing how you read them.
mhm.
And you can read them daily. You'll be getting a daily reading on all your customers that you can
Will
read.
this cover our master meters too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As long it's a frequency wave, so as long as it can get it, it reads it once a day. And I think you can actually ping it whenever you want to, as far as read too. I think you can do
I think you
it.
can if you have.
Like if you want to see something.
And we set up our software, when the new software we did some zoning instead of going just by the way the routes work, because the routes ain't exactly correct as far as in order. If you look at our routes when they're laid out, so we did a what do we call it? Zoning. So you can actually go in your software when that gets time, and I want to see this zone, which is all everybody's in order. You know, they're all in
Mhm.
order. So it's this area that you're looking at, that zone, instead of the route list we had was reading. The way they're set up in order of the counts in the software.
You said it's 80% coverage.
It'll be 80% coverage, so I think, don't quote me on it, but I think it gets most of town. So, I mean, in other words, he could change these over and get this 80% of y'all's whole system, be able to do it on residentials. It's gonna do 100% of our zone meters. So, in other words, we're doing this grant to get the zone meters and the system to do it, but this system is also compatible where y'all can build on it instead of, it'll be very beneficial.
The zone meter is a big meter going in a line, and it'll be monitoring the whole area. And it'll take those readings at night. You'll around 2 o'clock, or you remember y'all's class, y'all heard that. You'll take those readings and see what those flows are. And we'll be able to look at that data, see what those flows are about 2 in the morning.
And then,
Helps you find your leaks.
the key of how you tie it all back in is over time, when he gets the meters to where you have all that data, then you compare the zone meter to the residential meters.
Residential meters.
And then you see where your losses are. And it just helps you zero in instead of saying, you got tens of miles of line and you're sitting here guessing where the leaks are. This will kind of at least give you, for now we got 7, because that was the budget.
Well, it's using technology to help you pinpoint them,
Correct.
and you're not waiting for water to bubble to the top of the ground.
You're right.
That's the old system.
So it's just,
Always bubbles on the top.
That's right.
so
All around there.
it's a way to help you spend your money more wisely on the other grants following this. So, and it's what they're going to on water loss, or if you don't have zone meters, hardly, the following grants. Just the repair lines, I believe, is gonna get less credit than somebody that's got, they're wanting data. They're wanting to back up what they're spending tax dollars.
This is a budget copy in his packet that we let y'all look at, is the contract.
Yeah.
That's the budget, it's in the back page of it.
And also, I'll jump gears at CUG, but SRF, I know, we've been waiting on them. And I've been trying to get in contact with them, and I got in contact with them today and actually talked to someone that could answer some questions. The way the SRF program used to work is that priority list meant a whole lot. If you got, the higher you ranked, then you was in the funding for that. Now you look at that priority list as being, this is where you are versus everyone else as far as criteria on health, the public health, and water quality. So it does not, the list no longer is used to where you're going to rank as far as priority on getting money. It's a first come, first serve, who can get all the documentation into them first. So the list is not very beneficial anymore, I guess, except to see where you compare to everybody else from the answers I'm getting from them. So, but now we're going to, I talked with Tommy after I found this out, we're going to, in that letter that y'all received, it says, that you can set up a pre-application meeting and go down there, and I don't know if we'll have a conference on the phone or if we'll actually go down there, but we can actually find out more details, because nobody wants to get in the middle of one of these and not know what the terms that y'all are going to be held to. So we're going to go take that step and actually have sit down with them and see if we can come back, because there's 8 items you got to have, and one of them's design and specifications. So they're wanting these projects to be ready to go out to bid. And what I tried to get answered was nobody, no client wants to put a lot of money in a set of plans that's going to sit on the shelf and not have a grant to actually build the project. And they said that we could submit some of these documents and they could help us as far as determining maybe without doing a full design. They also offer financials for that, but that's where we're going to go to. We're going to sit down at that meeting and get some more questions answered and some more data to them so we can better advise. And they also want to meet with, I'm sure, Tommy, so besides just me. So we'll be down there representing, y'all just to see as far as if we can go on with this project, if you wanna look at other options as far as SRF. Like I said, the way they used to do SRF, if you was ranked ninth and you got the money and you kinda moved on and you done your design and done it, but now it's kinda, you gotta have everything in order first, in order to get the whole, grant, and it's first come, first served as far as when you get all those items in there, so. And I would not advise anybody to say, yes, we wanna do this, and then without knowing, you know, your terms, your percentages of, or if you're gonna get principal forgiveness, so. But they said if we meet with them at that meeting, they could clarify some of those questions, so. That's the two things I got going, and, we're in the process, Ms. Fay is doing the environmental on the, CDBG as we speak, so she's getting those documentations, and we're already starting on our, specs for that as far as, y'all should get a contract around March from them, and as soon as you get that, then we can actually go out to bid, so we're trying to get ahead of it, so when they do release it, we can get it put in, y'all be able to apply for, another one, because it's a 2-year program.
Questions for Evan?
On the zone meters,
Yes, sir.
will this help catch some of our customers' leaks, or is just mainly our breaks?
It'll be both, because it's gonna show that you got a leak somewhere in that zone. So anywhere past that meter. The only way you're gonna find out if it's, on the customer side would be if you had, and that's what I was talking about, when you finally build this system out and you got the actual residential meters with the same data, then, since it reads it every day, it's gonna bring, the way the software works, it's gonna let, whoever's watching the system, it's gonna let them know, hey, this meter here is leaking, so. Now, if it's between the main and the meter, you know, that would be on y'all.
Right.
The zone meter's gonna have to show the difference, so that's where that data comes in.
Right.
That's why you compare everybody's meter to the zone meter, and if there's a big discrepancy between those two flows, or the total of flows, then you know that it's on y'all's service line somewhere in that area.
But you're getting that daily reading from them customers too, so you can do a quick comparison and look, see, well, Joe Bowl at 1500 whatever, it's a 2-inch meter and it's wide open, so that may be pulling that meter, that enough to pull that DMA to say that's the problem, may not be.
And you might know
can't
that
compare.
you might know that they got a leak. I know I was here for the past when she had a leak. I mean, it might alleviate some of those things. I
That's
don't know
what-
how-
that's
it,
what-
it'll bring up an alert. I'm pretty sure you can alert that thing to where.
Well, that particular leak was a pretty free-flowing leak. So
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It might have been easily
You would-
detectable.
It will flag them
Yes, it
daily.
will.
Once
Yeah,
that
it-
daily read comes in, it'll flag, say, hey, bam, you got something.
It'll
Probably be a
Correct.
24-hour run
Does
instead
that
of a
change our leak?
endless run.
Right, you'll get a day's worth
Oh,
of
it's a
overage
day.
instead
It
of.
just means we get the data.
I mean, if we get the data faster,
Yeah.
what's our obligation now to let the homeowner know?
Well, I think we'll have to look at that. We'll see what other people do if y'all want me to look into that.
Oh, yeah, because that'll be,
I mean,
That's something to think about once you start getting.
we looked at,
I would look at it as if you got flagged. Maybe you let them know, but if you don't
There's
get
a-
flagged, then because I
there's a
mean
component of this software we didn't buy.
that's correct. That's for
Because-
customers.
Because we asked outright, it'll let a customer go in and look at all this if you want them
Their part.
to, third party. But the thing is, you spend all this money to do this, and they say historically, and the meter company was honest, only 10% of the customers use it, so you're spending a lot of money for no payback in your money. So if you're only gonna get 10% participation, it just ain't worth it.
So just to clarify, this is a grant for 80% coverage, right?
Yes, for the system itself.
Okay.
the system's 80% covered,
Yes.
not the monies that's.
You're getting 7 zone meters and a 80% of your service area. So from Macon County to,
So what's it gonna cost for us to bid 100%?
that would be we got the bids. It'll be the difference between the two.
Well, I think I've got data on that.
I'm thinking you're only getting 3 more antennas, so it's not gonna be.
They have
See, we're getting the software,
yes, all
we're getting training, we're getting like 5 years worth of the software.
warranty, I think so.
Yeah, the warranty's in there, and then you get the stations, they call them bases, so you're getting 4 bases. And I think to get all the coverage was 7 or 8, so you're
I
only.
think all of our residential meters have been converted to an automatic read, but we don't have sufficient antenna placement to get those readings from the office, so to speak.
Correct.
You still gotta send a crew out and
To ride
position a truck to ride through that particular zone that doesn't have an
This
antenna.
eliminates that.
Correct, so you.
This will get most of
Where
that.
I'm driving is if you're gonna have 80%, you might as well go ahead for 100%. What's it gonna cost us to get to 100%?
Is there cost savings in advance if we get on it now, rather
No.
than
No,
no cost savings to get on it?
The big cost is getting put in this grant. That's what I'm saying, because
you're
you're
trying
getting the
to,
software and everything, so.
you're only getting the 525s. That was kind of, we tried to design the project around the money we were getting, I guess you might say.
Correct, that's what I'm saying.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I could've got you.
We can continue to look in a year and say, we're gonna add this next year, we'll do it in phases if y'all like to look at that and see how cost effective, or we can look at doing it all at one time.
I was
Just
thinking
say-
the number. I was just curious.
Because all you're gonna get is
No,
an
I
in.
can't remember, because I think we paid for this study to be done to look at, and I think they do have 80 and they got the 90 up to a certain percentage.
They'll never give you 100.
They don't want to, they
guarantee
only
that.
guarantee 80. The gentleman told me it's very possible you'll do better than 80, but we're only willing to guarantee 80. So it's very possible we might do a little better than what they estimate.
With what we're doing with this grant,
Yeah, 'cause you're getting-
okay,
But they're only comfortable with 80%, guarantee 80%.
that we get
pass.
80% coverage.
Over each system. I just want to clarify, 'cause
Yeah,
that's the whole system.
Whole system.
The zone meters, when they go in, will work. We're gonna be sure they got coverage.
They're gonna be closer in
Yeah.
anyway.
I just see a lot of benefit from it. I mean, there's labor cost savings and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you take out, you now no longer have to have a man in a
There is
vehicle
another
riding
savings
that
that
could be
we'll take
working.
advantage of when we get them. You can, we have the repeat shut-offs every month, it's usually the same person every month that's on there. You can swap, we could buy a certain meter to put in you should put in people that are repeats that you can turn off from your
Remote cutoffs.
remotely. And that'll save you a lot of time, man time going out, because sometimes you gotta go all the way Cato, wherever you gotta go.
It'll knock out a lot of that personal.
Yeah, if it's in the right.
Yeah, the individual doesn't feel good about
Right, going
doing
out there
it,
at night.
you know, and
Did I hear you say there's no such thing as 100%? What is
They
that?
won't guarantee them.
They won't guarantee it.
What's
There is, you'll get 100, but when they do a radio study, they do a big study, so they by the topography here, all the hills and the hollers that you're having to deal with, they do a radio study that shows what they're covering and where your weak spots would be. So nobody that does those studies are gonna say, we'll give you 100% coverage, they're just not gonna stand behind it.
What's the rule of thumb, 98, 97?
Yeah, I think it was 98.
If you lived in Kansas or somewhere where the ground was flat, they could probably
Right, but I don't think they
calculate you
should
out
put it
like
right
that.
because then if you have
So
an issue, it's
your additional cost to cover the whole city would only be for roughly 17%.
Something like that.
yeah, it's like
Really?
3 more antennas.
It's covering it, but it's just not guaranteeing that it's gonna.
They have
Right. You'll have some spots that
we're
just
installing
will not
some
get it.
bigger antennas on this first round, taller, you might say. But they can put smaller collection devices a little bit cheaper and grab this area and grab that area and grab that area.
They're repeaters.
They're repeaters is what they are. But they're made to reach out where those can't get to or whatever. They're a little bit less expensive.
Well, and Mark, we might kind of reevaluate this once we get all of this grant
See how-
in and paid
and
for,
they were hitting
and see what our
90% coverage.
success rate is,
See what our
and
rates
then see
are,
what we've got
how many
left.
we're getting, and see what.
That may
I'm
make the
all-
most
I'm all
sense.
about some technology,
Yeah.
and I can definitely see where it would pay for itself and then some.
In my mind, that's why I wanted to wait to see, because you don't know, it might be better than 80, so let's see where they're going to have to go
Correct.
to.
Well, water departments used to have to send crews out that did nothing but read meters, one from the next to the next to the next. for quite a few days each month, and then you turned it in to produce a billing cycle, and then not too many days later they'd start out again, and
Right. And
You'd have to ride the road.
So those people that could be working on leaks or
right, it
Stone
frees up
taps or
some
whatever.
manpower for some other things, or allows you to reduce your manpower needs a little bit.
Well, with our geographical footprint being so small here, it's possible that it may not be worth the additional cost for that last 17%. It may all boil down to one guy covering it.
But let's certainly take a look when we get this project completed and see what our success has been and how many we're lacking.
I think we pretty well read this whole system within 6 hours.
Right. Right.
Really?
That's
How
great.
many guys?
Okay.
One guy, 6 hours?
yeah, you can run about 55 mile an hour bound, so
it's to get them. Wow. The radios we have a 2-watt power output. They're a little bit stronger than most radio we make.
I still want to stay on that liability portion of it. I can see
oh yeah,
someone saying that, you know, hey, they've been on vacation, had a leak for a week, we're getting those readings,
It's like the
and
mayor
we
had,
hadn't contacted
the
them.
mayor had I guess a complaint on somebody called in and didn't get, well, the ladies mail out letters. We've been starting now putting a yellow tag on the door that says you got a leak. We started doing those, we didn't have a phone number, we've been starting that this month. So now if we don't have a contact, we put that door hanger on their door to say you got a leak. So they call us and find out what's going on. Because we had one lady that didn't get the letter or didn't see it for 2 weeks, whatever the situation was. Didn't get it, it was mailed. And she went 14 more days before she realized she had a problem. And we did that as a courtesy. That's not a policy here. We just do that as a courtesy. And I never did stop them from doing it. Most utilities don't do that. So, but it's something they did, and I let her do it. So, we need that information. We need people's phone number. We need their emails. If we can get all this stuff and put it in the record and keep them updated, and that lady there, her phone number was wrong in the record. In that situation. Even if we tried to call her, we never got her because it wasn't right. But that's what I'm saying. And you need updated information to be effective in letting people know. And we looked into, there's some way we can do it with our software, I hope. If not, there is a way to do it with the phone company, to produce an Excel file with the information on it, and they can send that out to the customer by text or even email maybe. It's a little service you pay every month for it. But
North Central has that kind of a service, and that may be what you're talking about.
North Central.
You can
Well, we
blast out reminders to large groups, large numbers of people if you've got accurate contact info.
and people don't realize
And it's
this.
a relatively cheap cost per month.
You may not pay your bill online, but if you will fill out that and get your account set up, it will text you messages saying your bill's due. You need to remind you to pay it. It does that. It'll send you a little email. If you ain't even gonna use it, it will send you an email or text you and say you got a bill due. And we've been trying to tell people to use that. Even if you don't use the online pay, it will send your message to you to remind you.
I'll take my mail once a month.
So that's something that you can do right now. When
On a bigger box so it wouldn't fall on the road.
Tommy, for the contract with Mid-10, are we all on the up and up? I don't know how these engineering services contracts work with bidding or anything like that. Are we playing by all the rules for this?
Yes.
Okay.
It all abides with that budget he laid out.
Yes. Yes. That's the next item on your agenda. If you're through talking about the specifics of the grant itself, we do have a contract before you to approve, and it addresses using Mid-10 Engineering for the engineering services for this CDBG project. And what I had talked to Tommy some time ago, and rather than allowing the assumption that every project that came up automatically went to a certain engineering company. We would look for an engineering company and accept proposals from them on every project we did. More like what mirroring what county government is doing on their projects that require bid out too.
And he was selected by the committee of the
Right.
county. His company was selected by the committee of the county.
You've got about 4 pages of the details of the contract. Did you have any questions about it? It is a fairly straightforward contract.
I apologize, our printer has not been.
Looks like it's about out of ink.
Well, it ain't that, I think he's coming to clean it, it's something ain't right about it. He didn't do very well. He's coming tomorrow to clean it, but he ain't made it today.
If you have any questions about the language in that contract, please bring it up now.
Evan, how do you handle change orders?
Change orders, everything comes before y'all to approve before anything's done. So
Do you
that's-
have rates in here or something? I might be able to look at it.
Change orders, the only change order you'll see from me will be inspection.
Okay,
The design is set.
okay,
Inspection is based on the contractor. We do have to be there while they're working. So if you get a contractor that's slower than Christmas,
yeah, your
Unfortunately, I have to be
inspectional
there,
hours
so-
will go up.
it's by the hour.
Okay.
So it's
Inspector's
how many
hourly
hours?
rate, $65.
And I think on the last
Yeah.
page had his rates.
So it's however long my guy has to stand up. So if you got a fast contractor, now if they're doing something that does not require us to be there, I promise you we will not milk the clock. We will not be there. We'll be there for the critical things. If they're sitting there watching it rain or something, I mean, we're gonna be gone. But there's a lot of good contractors around here that don't drag their feet anymore, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Motion to approve it, or
We do,
is there any-
if there are no other questions or changes.
Make a motion to approve the contract.
Have a motion to approve it. For a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. It's done. Thank you. Tommy, we'll move into your general manager report. You've got 2 or 3 sub-points on that.
Yeah. We talked about the fire policies, fire service policy. I found these, I looked through a lot of utility policies and found these 2. There's only 2 examples I could find about charges. You know,
Tommy, the only issue that I had as I read through it on page 3,
yeah.
item 10 had language in it that allowed contractors to use hydrant water,
Uh-huh.
but it also had language where a customer could fill swimming pools out of hydrants. I'm not in favor of that.
Well, you can.
That's my 2 cents worth, but
This was an example, you can modify how you like.
now contractors, if they need to use hydrant water, typically we would put a portable meter on that hydrant and they would be billed according to the usage.
From where I was from, if a person wanted to fill a swimming pool, they'd have to hire a trucking company, and we would sell to that trucking company. They would fill from a high.
But none of
Meter.
that's not specified in here. It sounds like if you can get a 2.5 inch fire hose and hook on and get a pipe wrench and open up a hydrant, you're in business.
Yes, I see what you're saying. But, yeah, you could do that if we would be metering it though. It doesn't say that here though, does it?
No, it does not say anything about metering that kind of usage. And I'd sure want some language for the contractor use to where they are metered.
And when they come in, if the way our software works, if you don't set up an account, it does not track the gallons. And that brings another question I just didn't think about till now, but I'll bring it up next time. So we've been making them come in, and it's killed some contractors. They don't like it. They want you to run out there and do it right then. But we make them come in and set up a contract, and they pay $75 like everybody else. And we set up their bill, and they get billed like that. So that's what we've been doing to track the usage.
And I assume a builder contractor would have to set up for each use, or if they're building out in a subdivision.
We've done it out here on Mr. Beasley's.
Okay.
Now, if they call and tell us we're done, we go get it, that ends that deal. They have, if they call the next day and say, I need it back out there, come on back in, because if you need it, you need to specify a certain time frame. But if they say they're done, we're gonna go get that device and get it off that hydrant. For a lot of other reasons, just not to leave one on there.
I think if we were adopting this or something similar to this, I would just strike that use of hydrant for filling pools, or I would absolutely add to that language that it would need to be metered. But we don't have that many pools, and if we do, we're not filling them off a fire hydrant. We don't have that many fire hydrants, but that really applies to our system that much. Either way.
The only thing we've done historically here is allow contractors use for the meter on a hydrant.
I have no problem with that. I just put some language in there that it's metered use.
And I feel like I don't have it in front of me, our broader policies. I feel like that's covered in there somewhere, isn't there? So
The $75 fee probably needs to be higher because it's usually commercial. That I would suggest looking at changing that sometime.
So maybe just, and I didn't have a chance to do it unfortunately, but take this example policy versus our existing policies, and if there's any conflict or I don't mean just for fire protection.
Yes.
I mean, like, I think there's something about hydrants in our broader
I'll look.
policies that we have, and if there's any, and not just the hydrants, if there's anything else in this policy that conflicts with existing policy,
I think,
and vice versa.
The color coding in here is exactly the way ours is. It's already like that.
It is, that's standard.
That's a state
Standard.
stipulation.
The only thing that, we talked about, we don't bill for none of this. And this utility charges, depending on the size of the line, they charge so many minimum bills per month to cover any maintenance. Because we got, what happened last month, I reported to the board, we had somebody who had a 8-inch fire main. They got a backflow preventer on it and it was leaking. That's not metered. And it's a live line that we're losing money on. And that company gets the benefit of fire protection, but we don't get paid for it. And when it leaks, that's lost to the utility. And it's hard to keep up with. Until somebody saw the leak and reported it to us, and we had to report to them because it's their line. They had to fix it. And that's kind of where we was at last month. That's what I brought to them. We don't have no charge. We don't make no money. A lot of utilities do charge some kind of fee for it.
Most do. The difference between the Wilson County one and the Tullahoma here, I like the fact that the Wilson County is, the monthly base charge is just 2 times minimum bill, 4, 6, 8 times minimum bill. It doesn't have a dollar figure in it, so if your rates adjust, you're not having to adjust that. The one for Tullahoma with the sprinkler systems, if we went to that and not put the language of the other in there, that would at least cover what we're trying to do. But I think I kind of like having the language where it's just tied to that minimum rate, and that way when it changes, it changes. You're not having to keep up with, did you change the sprinkler rates or whatnot.
Right, it changes automatically.
I mean, to me, that's a cleaner way of keeping up with it into the future. But
the only y'all have a policy. It ain't really a written policy. It was just a rate in the rate schedule. It said you would charge $1 per sprinkler head in the bill, and that's kind of hard to count and keep up with. this would be a better way of charging on it, the size of the lines and charging this way. Instead of having to keep up with how many sprinklers am I gonna build for every year or once a year, whatever it was set up for. That's an old way of building.
You're charging based on the size of the supply line.
Right, supply line here, yes.
Which would typically determine how many of those you're gonna have, so it's just doing the same thing two different ways. But I just think it's a lot cleaner going forward to have it just tied to your monthly base rate. But I would defer to your recommendation as to how you keep up with it.
This would be the simplest way, is what he's talking about.
Yes.
Bill.
Is there any language in here about, and I don't know what laws or enforcement of a customer with a broken fire line had a leak? It's just, he just ignores it and lets it go.
We might ought to add something, I don't think so.
I don't know what that would look like exactly, but
Well, for
we
instance,
can't cut off a fire line.
for instance, a penalty. Say if you ain't fixed this one, and you don't want to, that thing was running about 5 gallons a minute. You don't want that to continue. If it blew plumb out, it would be way more than that.
Mhm.
I mean, I would no more than 72 hours, but you need to get this fixed. If you ain't done it, then you will be penalized that amount of dollars per day until it's
Mhm.
fixed.
Mhm.
To insinuate them to go and get it took care of.
Typically, because of the size of the supply line, fire line, they don't leak, they blow out.
Yeah.
Because they've got full pressure on them
Yeah.
pretty much at all times. And when they're installed, you have to do the kickers and concrete casings on turns, and it's an involved process of even getting them approved.
Imagine the state fire marshal would have some issues with a fire line that's,
This policy here is just for y'all, the TAUD wrote this policy, so people that trained y'all wrote it. It is something it's a standard that you can modify however you please, but that's where this came from.
And that probably came down the pipe from NFPA, and so it's pretty standard. I've seen this in
But
fire
maybe
codes.
if y'all want me to go back and add that language, change this swimming pool language, or take it out at y'all's discretion, I can bring you a finished document next month. Or you do as you please, we can add it and fix it.
if we don't already have language in our existing broader policy structure, which
We
we
don't
have
that
anything
covers
about.
fire service.
Fire.
We do
No, I mean
have some
about
language.
hydrant
I don't
usage for
think so.
filling stuff.
It's limited on the hydrants, and I think most of it pertains to where they will be installed. For example, in new developments, it's the water department's responsibility. We don't want haphazard hydrants placed in. We want them all to be uniform, same manufacturer, same brand, so that the same tools will fit all of them.
We can add that. We might.
But I think
we
our
might-
old policies have more to do with placement like
Placement
that.
of it, not
Not
usage, no,
how
no
they're
usage.
used.
How they're built.
Okay.
The, when you have a developer, he will go by your specifications. We spec in that what prudences he has to use, what he has to install, he has to go with that.
Mhm.
So if we tell him you use ABC hydrant, that's what you're gonna use.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's one thing that the planning commission is looking at now, is defining in our zoning ordinances where it speaks of fire protection, there's no definition of fire protection. And they're looking, does that mean equipment, does that mean water, does that mean flow? And so, this is an issue we're looking at, not just from the water department standpoint, but also from the government standpoint.
What's your recommendation on this policy? Example, do you wish to suggest edits and let Tommy correct it, or let him correct it and bring you clean copy back next month?
Do we need a motion on any of that, so we're just
Well,
gonna
we
talk
need some
about it and
direction for
direct it
Tommy.
Towards Tommy.
I'd like to see a clean copy.
I'd like to
would
see a
too.
clean copy.
Okay.
It talks about things
You
like,
good with that,
No,
Tommy?
I brought it as an example.
Right.
Not a final,
Well, now
not a
there's
final
no
draft.
draft at all, but
You haven't hit any pushback from us, just a few corrective edits.
I think we need it in place for bullet points of revisions. I agree with Dwight. I like the Wilson County's billing structure with the 2 minimum bills. Any opinions on that, one way or the other? Have Tommy kind
We
of
want to keep this same schedule.
keep that same schedule. I'm good with that. Everybody.
So, probably really the only edits are seem to be the item 10, and I guess would item 11 need to be rewritten? also,
Maybe,
kind of with-
yes,
also.
because 10 and 11 went together.
Right.
They had some common language in them.
And that was just,
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
if I remember correctly, it was you want
that's what I said. we
the
need
contractor
support.
to be able to access it upon getting the meter, getting it metered, but you don't want access of it for filling up swimming pools
Correct.
and that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, because the number 11 goes into filling up of pools and.
Correct.
Supervision.
I had circled both of them that needed to be edited on my copy.
So commercial usage, contractor usage with a meter.
He can go help watch it.
I have no problem with commercial contractors, builders.
Oh, man, got to trust
Something
them.
along the lines of, on the number 10, just take out customers and start with buildings in which use fire hydrants. To construct buildings must obtain permission from the authority, and you just pretty much strike out anything other than customers on that. and swimming pools.
I agree with that.
And kind of do the same thing on number 11, just leave in for building construction, but strike out anything having to do with swimming pools or anything like that.
Where's that line?
says Executive Director, Board of Commissioners, and then it talks about the authority. Of course, this is written for the Water and Wastewater Authority of Wilson
I'll
County.
change all that.
All the authority references would probably need to be changed. Superintendent or whatever your exact title is, instead of Executive Director or whatever they have in here, probably needs to.
Yeah, we'll change that.
Some language about dealing with leaking fire lines, whatever
Penalty.
penalties
Set
for
it down.
ignoring leaking fire lines. Are we
They have
good?
to do to this document or put it in our general, charge of fees after we edit it too.
I would tie it into this, because that's where you're gonna go.
I
if
could
you have
add
a
this in
problem
our
with that.
overall policy, it can be just another subheading in our policy, and that charge for that will go down in our heading of charges. So we
And
can do
then
it that
after
way.
some reasonable time frame, once they've been notified, then a penalty would assess.
With 72 hours of after being notified of a leak, that would give them plenty of time to hire somebody to come and look at it. Should give you plenty of time to hire someone. And if they have extenuating, so you could give a little leeway if they had a reason they couldn't find somebody. I hate to say that we'd be willing to fix it, but we would have to charge for it too if y'all would let us, but that's on somebody else's property.
I can't remember. I feel like fire lines have to be worked on by fire sprinkler contractor
That's inside the
license,
building.
right? Just inside?
Just
Okay,
inside.
okay.
It's general outside.
Okay.
I think a fire protection, the backflow preventer may have to maybe be under their care.
Okay.
But if you do, I do know that if you can work under a fireman and do the work,
Are we fixing any other customers' leaks of any sort? I think we stay out of the
We
leak
do-
fixing
we do
business
need to-
across the board.
I guess one thing is that we might have to say, if you have not done, tried satisfactory to do this with a certain amount of time, we might shut you off with notice.
I don't think we can shut off fire lines, can we? I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, we can pedal, we
We
can?
can,
Yes.
yes.
I don't.
We should.
Well, you would have
I
to.
think we got
actually-
really good
Or
reason. Stick 'em in the
we do it,
wall.
say, or we'll fix it and charge you at this rate.
It'd probably be the better thing to do, because
The only
if you
thing
turn it
about
off and now the building burns down, somebody
Yeah,
dies.
yeah, we don't want to turn it off even if we're
Well,
allowed
that
to.
had, the day this happened, my man said, "You want me to shut this off?" I said, "No, we can't do that."
Yeah.
The way you can
know
shut it
somebody
off,
and they evacuate a building.
you have to have what's considered fire watch. You have to have a person
Yeah.
on staff
Yeah,
24 hours a
so,
day,
Yeah.
being able to, but yes, you can, but there's certain procedures.
But I think the penalty, we did it for people with cross connections, if they didn't comply within the 30 days or the 60 days you gave them to fix it, we penalize them $100 a month for that, to get them to fix it if they didn't do it. That was one example of where I was from. If we had somebody that would not do what they're supposed to do. But with leaks, you can't give them 30 days, you can't give them 60 days.
Yeah.
You need a shorter time frame, because you're losing money. It's just going out on a grant. That's the only difference between a customer like that and any other customer. It's tied directly to your lines with no meter in it. So
Can you make the
it'd be
penalties for
different than
that?
paying for it, going out on a grant, but they're not.
Whatever penalties you come up with, tie it to the fire line
Of the size.
pipe size.
You could from.
I think that'd be a good idea. There's a big difference between an 8-inch breaking and a 2-inch.
Or estimated flow.
Okay.
Why is it not needed?
For somebody, they can be, but they're expensive.
Because you're talking about a 6-inch meter. or
You're talking about a
4-inch meter.
special meter.
You're not talking about just a.
But if one of them blows out, you're talking about a whole lot more money than what a meter's gonna cost.
Well, 8-inch fire line meter probably $27,000.
How many of those we got in this county?
You got several of them.
Yeah.
And we just let our place burn.
Well, I'm just saying, you got several of them. Especially out there, guys, where all these are.
We got the insurance.
When one of those lines comes loose, we talking about massive water loss. That TVA tank will drain. within
You'll know
minutes.
you've got something going somewhere real quick.
You'll know pretty quick when it comes loose. That hydrant that came loose with that contractor out there, it just come loose. It didn't come off
Yeah.
8 feet within 15 minutes, dropped out of that tank. And there's 1 million gallons in that tank. So that is good.
In 15
It's because you have the 18-inch transmission line, which lets it flow pretty good.
Got a 750 gallon, 1,000 gallon tank.
And it dropped 8 foot.
It don't take long.
It's about like your radiator that
So,
Pressurized.
a fee-based penalty per size of line.
Enough to blow heads. You know about that?
Bring it back, let's look at it.
Well, I can fix that here with my computer. Y'all voted in, we print it out, and y'all have a copy of it the next night, or next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So we'll think about that.
Send us an advance
I
copy.
will. You'll have it, y'all wanna, I can take your consensus and fix it to the consensus, and then y'all can change it again if you need to.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, next is a quote for a rotary mower to fit on a skid steer.
We need you behind your
That's
place.
what we were talking about. We pulled up like, man, they sure could've used one of
We
those.
could have, yes. We have other locations as well that it could be handy. It fits on the skid steer, which can get a lot of harder places, and we can get tanks uphill. We can mow a little safer, I think, too.
My mechanics will rest easy on that, those sure work.
Let's go on the front or the rear?
It attaches to the front.
To the front.
Yeah. We bought the skid steer, we bought the one with the high flow hydraulics, so about any attachment will run on these things, so.
Well, that's about the same price as a decent 72-inch rotary mower would be. I mean, it's.
What about
This is a state bid.
bids? Okay,
State bid, it complies with,
okay.
yeah.
That was my question, is I only saw one vendor, so I
It's a
was,
state,
I was
yes.
wanting to make sure it complied.
This thing, you can go vertical or horizontal.
it just kind of raises with the front of the unit. It may tilt, I don't remember right.
Probably
It's
does.
speculative.
Seen them too.
It probably does.
That'd be real neat. Did you not listen to that? It's not.
What's your recommendation on the mower for the skid steer?
I'm the new guy. If we need it and we've got the money, let's get it.
Putting that in the form of a motion?
I don't know.
Or a
No one's
suggestion.
answered the first two questions. Do we need it and do we have the
Oh, I'm
money?
sorry, yes. I thought you
Yes
had-
and yes.
Well, I know we need it or we wouldn't have it here, but I'm saying there's money in the budget for it, no problem.
30%.
Then I would make a motion for us to purchase it.
We have a motion to make the purchase. Is there a second?
I'll second as long as I get to play with it.
No,
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? It is approved. Next is another purchase.
I knew it on their job. They don't even have to pay them.
This is for a rock hammer,
That sounds like a more.
Caterpillar.
You have a bill with your cost.
I'm again assuming this is on state bid,
Yes.
since that we were only
Same.
presented one sheet.
Yeah, state bid, it's state bid.
how much are we gonna use this?
In our area, probably a whole lot.
Pay for something.
We've been many
Every
times
line we
needing.
do, if we try to do it.
Well, let me
we're
give you an
gonna-
example. You go up to Hickory Creek, that's that hydrant they put in, and see it leaning like this. You know why? It's rock. Could we have moved it a little bit? Probably. But I mean, you get into this all the time. We've been setting these big meter boxes and getting multiple homes in one box with separate meters.
Right.
We've been fortunate. We get in a rocky area and you can't, it's got to go in a small confined area. Well, that thing will get the rock out for you to get it in there.
Have you been getting by without one so far? Is this a
Well, it lets
replacement?
up, But us out here digging like this ain't mainly. This wasn't really meant to do projects mainly with. It's meant for the incidentals. When we change out a hydrant, you got that 6 inches you can't get out. That's what it's for. It's not. I wouldn't want to compromise our backhoe with one that was used tremendously, but we would have it if we needed it. I think it's a worthwhile.
Have we been renting these?
We can rent them, yeah.
Have we?
Yeah, we got one right now.
I was thinking that we had did use it one up there on 141 where
Is that our typical routine when you run into a little bit of rock on an install
No,
on a
we've
meter
not
or something?
rented
What do
one.
you?
I've not rented one yet.
Oh, you haven't. But if we did, we would have to rent one. I mean, have you run into rock ever? And what
Yeah.
did you do? What did you do last time?
Well, we have a small jackhammer, but that's
Just a guy with a hammer.
guy with a
Okay.
hammer. This right here, I think it'd be helpful. It may even be able to be attached to the Takahauchi, the mini eggs
Oh.
as well.
I guess my question is, does it justify buying it over renting it for the occasional time that we're gonna need it?
Well,
Or
I mean,
could-
you're
or
saying
is-
you're not have one now, you're not renting one now, then why do you need to buy one now?
Or is our emergency
well, give you an
contractor capable? of
example. He
handling
probably
it?
could, maybe. I don't know if we put anything in for beating rock or beating through. I can't remember. Trenching normally and digging. We didn't actually add the hammer.
It's $100 an hour.
The thing that,
That's what it is. Big rock.
You can think about it too, when we go out on these water line repairs
$1,000.
where rock has rubbed the pipe raw because it wasn't laid properly. If you don't remove that rock, you have the same thing. And you have to either raise it up and have a funny offset in your piping. And those aren't good either to have, to put your pipe in a stressful situation. It's best not to do that. I can see multiple uses for it. It's up to y'all.
I'm inclined to decline this one, Tommy.
Okay.
If you can, 6 months from now, you come to us and you're like, guys, I'm just beating rock everywhere I go.
I've spent
I've
$30,000 on rental.
I got 5 guys in overtime beating rock, and there's a really legitimate. We're burning money on rock.
Let's come back and talk about this before we spend $30,000 on renting equipment and all that.
I mean, can you rent it? I mean, is
You
there
can rent 'em.
places
Yeah, they are
nearby?
expensive to rent.
You
Well,
know,
the
that
thing
you don't have to
about-
drive 2 hours to get it and 2
Let
hours.
me give you this example. I'm renting this one by the month, $5,000. If I had to rent it one day, it's $500.
Yeah.
If I had to rent it for a week, it's whatever $500 for 7 days is.
35.
So I'm getting a deal right now on my project because I'm renting it on a long-term basis. If I had to rent that thing on a day-to-day, I'm paying more money outright.
But just for argument's sake, could you ask them like, for like if there's a discount for a 6-month rental or something?
I have, they only go now a month, that's it.
Monthly is usually as good as it
They
gets.
used to do that, but they quit doing that. They don't do the long-term.
So how much is a monthly rental?
$5,000.
$5,000.
That's, and we had,
6 months.
that counts that machine and and that's both now for 5,000.
Yeah.
If you could rent, we have the hookups on the machine, you're gonna pay, still gonna pay a lot of money per, incident.
For just the hammer instead of
Just
the
the
machine
hammer.
and the hammer.
Uh,
Motion to deny this one and revisit it a few months down the road with a little more cost to back it up.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Where? Let me slow down, man.
Sorry.
We already, no, you're fine. We're already renting the equipment right now, correct?
That's for the purpose of the project on 141. This thing will take care of it when we need it, when we run into issues. And we can be out at night and run into an issue with something.
And then you can't rent one.
And I can't get it at night, and if I got a water line blowing, yeah, I can temporarily fix it. But I have to do it again.
So I must just be slow. So we haven't rented it yet, but we're gonna rent it.
We
if you
hadn't
don't mind,
rented one for that purpose.
For that project, just that
Yeah,
project.
we got one we're renting, 5,000 a month.
And we've got it just for 1 month, right?
As long as I need it, yeah. We hopefully won't need it this long, but,
Do you need it on any project before the 141 project?
I hadn't, but I hadn't been in every 40 feet of rock either.
I have a motion on the floor to deny this expenditure. Is there a second?
There'll be no hard feelings, Jim. Y'all have to make these decisions.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Discussion.
How long you been on the 141 project? This is the first month of doing that, 2 months, so you spent $10,000 on rental so far?
I think we paid for 1 month of 5,000. We're starting into the next one.
Okay, you're starting in.
We kinda started in a half month and a half.
How long do you estimate it to, just guessing, how long would you think you're gonna have to have this at $5,000 a month?
For a long time.
Only you're at 2 months
Just
now.
using this hammer is not gonna do it. It's just not gonna make it. That's why the other contracts coming into place.
So that,
So
this wouldn't help you now. You'd still have to call somebody else in.
That's what that other contract we're bidding out for. It's got the trenching.
You're
A
gonna do a rock
trencher will be
salt.
more cost effective out there than what we're doing. One of the reasons we're trying to do some of this and get some of it done is to train men, because some of them ain't never done this before. We're training.
Okay.
So there's a purpose in it, not trying to waste money, but
Do you have any historical figures on how much of your expenditures were on rental fees for the last 3 to 5 years for this particular piece of equipment?
no, this is our first time renting one I've ever rented one here.
I mean, I could see if it was eating up $20,000, $30,000 a year on annually,
Yeah,
might be.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for you to, if you can track what we're spending on rock and come back in 6 months and say, we're really burning money and it's,
And actually,
there's-
we're gonna start doing that better because in this audit study, TAD recommended that we put some line items in our budget, like for water loss, where in the same sheet I use now to track our cost, we're filling out a daily sheet of work, how many man hours, how many hours those machines are working, the material, we're calculating that daily on what we're doing and keeping up, because we're gonna capitalize that.
sure.
They recommend doing that same thing for water leaks, for sewer camera. We're doing that sewer
Yeah,
camera.
that data is invaluable one for
So-
long-term planning.
Well, we're taking account of all our man hours and time and gonna use that as, you might call it writing off, but you're gonna appreciate it, you're gonna capitalize it.
Mhm.
In that, you save some money on your labor, cause you're taking that off your already 40-hour guy a week, you're getting credit for that.
Mhm.
It comes off the bottom line at the end of the year. So that 43,000 overtime goes away. Gets depreciated.
One other question, how expensive are the bits for these?
Yeah, I'd have to find out.
And how long do they last?
A long time unless they break, and then they're expensive.
Yeah, they are.
$1,000+ I believe.
I think that's something I'd like to see, just generally, if you know what the maintenance is on this piece of equipment going forward, useful life of it, and if you think, or it looks like the maintenance and everything and across the useful life is gonna be less than, you know, if we have to rent it, if this is the first time you rent it, and on this project, it's really not gonna cut the mustard, you're gonna have to bring in a trencher anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know that, I don't think right now we're gonna have enough use on it to justify this amount, I think we might come out easier doing the rental. Right now, I think instead of just using do training, we're gonna have to bring in somebody else to do that.
That's fine. We'll-
Okay, motion on the floor is to deny this expense. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, say no. It is done.
I would like for us to revisit with some more.
Yeah,
data.
absolutely.
Yeah, once we have more data to kind of look at.
Stupid question. Could we buy used?
That's one thing you probably,
You don't.
let me give you an example. They brought us a hammer out here.
Yeah.
Brand new hammer was brought to the job site. The men attempted to grease it. They thought they were. Brand new hammer locked up. Which I thought immediately we was responsible for it, but what saved us was the guy, the maintenance guy that set that hammer up for his company didn't put a greasing fit in it. So they was hitting it with grease, but it wasn't going nowhere. So a brand new hammer has to be rebuilt because nobody put a grease fit in it. I think that
I
explains
understand
that.
that,
But I'm just saying, you know, you have to grease them every hour that you use them. They have to be greased continuously if you're using them constantly.
I think Mark brought up a point that in general,
Yeah.
can we buy used equipment
Oh,
and
yes, you
stuff?
can. You
I mean,
And
can.
the
this-
only reason I
this-
say, because Mitch and I've been going to a lot of auctions and watching a lot of online auctions, and we're there for trucks, but man, there's tons and tons
The
of
hammers, you know,
construction
you're,
equipment, and a lot of it is
yeah,
not used.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's just,
how's that gonna go with the comptrollers if you buy
Yeah,
something at
that's
auction?
We have,
that's my question.
we have methods the county set up to buy used stuff. You have to get.
You have to have a appraisal
appraisal
bids
bids or competitive.
substitute for
Yeah.
putting it out on bids.
I haven't had really good track record with stuff that we filed used, I'll say that in other departments.
Well, that, you know, hammers.
sometimes that can go back to the one buying it though.
I wouldn't want to buy a used rock hammer. That's one I would.
But to his defense though, I mean, it's not something that, I wouldn't want to buy something like this used and then we out using it every day. But you're looking at a piece of equipment that we might pick up once a quarter.
And if you buy it at auction for $5,000, you use it for a month, it sits for a year. You have to grease a little bit when you
Understand what
use
you're
it.
saying.
That's all I'm saying.
So, I mean,
Versus
kinda-
30,000. If you were hammering rock hard every day or all week, I mean, hell yeah, buy them. I'm just trying to get you a rock hammer.
I understand. We'll look into it. We'll look at the maintenance part of it, see what it costs to
We just
rebuild
build
more.
one.
I don't know exactly. I guess I can ask the rental company since they have to do all that.
I'm all about, I'm with you. I didn't
I
have a
love it
lot
when you
of
buy used.
Will you let us drive it if you get one? No, I'm
See,
kidding.
I asked that question,
See, I
I
did
got
too.
shut down. David offered to come work for free.
Too late now.
I wouldn't.
All due respect, we're practically all right now.
Well, yeah.
Thank you all board members for participating in the training last week. I know it was 2 long, hard evenings, but at least it satisfies the comptroller and the state, and we have a water board now that is fully compliant on that.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I got a lot out of it.
I did too.
And I thought it was well organized, and the presenters did a great job. Like anything like that, they probably gave you 4 hours worth of information in 12, but it was very much worthwhile on my part.
Don Scholes did say that in the future, they will probably allow utilities like us to attend more of the other types of trainings that are offered, whether they rename the training or reclassify it. But in the future, we might be able to go to the training, the big annual training they have in Pigeon Forge, and it be a legitimate, countable training event. So I think the doors will get opened for a little better training exercises in the future. And I told him one of the good things about attending one like that, one, you got to meet with utility districts from all across the state. That break time interaction. And 2, you also got to meet with some vendors that were on hand, and it's always good to meet with some of them. But thank you all for making time in your schedules to get that covered.
Remind me how, is that annually we're gonna get 12 hours?
3
3 years.
Every 3
every
years?
3.
Your
So
first year.
Hallelujah. 'Cause I personally did not enjoy it. I appreciate it, but I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, when you're a new board member appointed, you have 1 year to get 12-hour credit.
Okay,
After that, it's every 3 years.
okay.
If you get reappointed, guys, the clock starts over again. You do the same thing again. You gotta get in 1 year. That's the best I understand
And you're one.
because they change it.
anything else tonight?
What's for supper?
Tommy has a video for us that you might want to explain what that was showing for
Well,
those
this is
that.
one of our camera that, the last one we did behind his business.
I think you had a leak, Mark. I saw it on the film.
That's all.
Oh, yes.
Saw it coming out of the scene,
Yeah.
coming in the scene for
You're like
sure.
watching paint dry, it's pretty good.
Oh, there was a leak, man. I saw it.
There was a leak, yeah.
I saw a spider crawling on it too.
So that's the new camera that we got last month.
Yes.
And he said this was before the rain event.
Yeah, this was before the rain event. So we got, this pipe here its grade has fell a little bit because it's holding water.
So that's not flowing water, it's holding water.
It's holding, it's flowing from upstream.
There was another spot in it
Guys,
that you
there's
could
always
explain.
there's always a possibility there's something underneath all that water that's happening.
But there's a flow because there's people running sinks and running
Yes.
dryers.
You see where
and
it
flushing
starts.
toilets.
Yeah, because this is, what time of the day, 9?
Well, there's a flow. When you look
There's
at this,
always a flow, right?
there's not, well, you shouldn't see a complete steady flow all the time, I don't think.
It should surge.
It should surge, it should hit and miss.
Really?
There are gonna be times a day you're gonna have more people at home, you're gonna have a more active sewer system. But if you go out at night and pop one of these open, you shouldn't see a
Shouldn't
whole
see
lot of
anything.
activity.
2 in the morning, it should be dry as a
So in
bone.
your opinion, what we're seeing here based on 9:30 a.m. is this excessive flow?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
this is before the rain.
Okay.
What's the diameter of this
This is
pipe?
8 inch. Most all y'all's pipe is 8. The mains are. They're bigger.
Just asking, where would our sewer line be?
I'm not sure. We'll see that we can mark the clean out for you if we can find about where you are.
I just saw it.
Cause that's on the other side.
See that hole up there?
That's what I was
That's a tap.
Okay.
Some of them are up vertical, some of them are on the side. And see, this is a real big deal. You see with the grade is, well, they could be a tire in this line, or it could be a tire in this line right here. Could be.
It looks like awful clean water
It
out there.
sure is.
See how deep that is?
It almost
bent right
looks like
there?
springs
That's
and
pretty
infiltrate.
Sitting on
some
rock,
years.
probably.
It was a repair, it looked like.
Yeah, that's, some of the guys said in the past, older guys that work, they refix something here. And again, if you don't bed those things properly, this
Yeah.
happens. Use the wrong bedding material, this happens. You need something that's pretty much compacted before it goes, when it goes down.
How many feet did you run this?
The footage gauge is at the bottom, that's 21 into the,
Oh, I see it now, okay. How far can you go?
it'll go 1,000 feet.
Okay.
But
I think this
generally,
video ran up to past 200.
engineering wise, I don't think, 400 foot's all they'll let you go from manhole to manhole.
Right.
Okay.
That's the most you should. That's a tap right there, T in the line.
Mhm.
It's out that way.
And nothing's coming.
And we got to,
Look at that dog running down through there. That dog running down through there.
we do know on Stan Hall's apartments, there's water coming in on his service somehow into the main. We got to try to find his clean out and camera with a different camera down into it and see why. There's a compromise we know for sure there.
That does not surprise me.
So we think this is probably just groundwater.
Sure.
Spring.
It
Yeah, spring
It
somewhere.
doesn't have much debris in it at all for,
Yeah.
for
No,
sewer
it's pretty
water.
clean. Yeah.
You'll know when sewer comes down.
I think we just got into a mess up right there.
Yeah.
Now
That's where they
what
dump the
we're saying.
oil out where they change oil in the truck, dumped it down through there. That's what that is.
That stuff's too high to be dumping, man, we burn it.
I probably will be back next month asking for some more money because our jetter does not function very well.
What's a jetter?
It goes in before the camera and sprays this
Okay.
plane.
So you can see the pipe.
We
pipe
have
walls.
one that's well over 10 years old, older than that. I wouldn't mind buying a combination unit that has another vacuum truck with that jetter on it for the sewer only. But we're talking about $100,000.
Is this ductile iron?
No, it's PVC.
Okay.
Tommy, how much did this cost us to run this? Just our man hours
Man hours.
versus.
'Cause this is the camera we purchased, right?
That's what I'm getting at. Versus.
It's on a track, just like a little machine. It's driving up in there.
Yeah, but versus.
If we hired somebody to do it.
Well, the price I didn't remember, I hired for the streetscape. I was going to hire somebody to camera it, which I'm going to try to camera it sometime soon. See what I was over before we do that project.
200 something feet.
It was less than 1,000 feet for $10,000.
There you go.
So we've done in this month. We've probably done well over that.
Yeah.
Footage wise for
So-
our man hours.
What's the minimum size pipe you can run this through? 4? Can you get it in a 4?
It goes up in from a 6 up to 24 inch, I think.
So you can't run it in a 4?
Now, we got a smaller camera for services that you just kind of slide it through.
They don't have anywhere near that reach, though, do they?
But if y'all have seen enough of this, I want you to look at one that's never been used. It's a project that was never had any sewer in it.
Did we ever? I know we saw that break in there. Did we ever?
We're marking that thing. You mark the footages. You know where to go back to. You can just measure on top of the ground, back to the spot.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Before somebody spends $4,000 in radiators. Yeah, that's good.
You can buy these little endoscopes
You
now
gotta
that
blow
fit
out.
on your camera. They're so
Two
cool. I use
blowouts.
one a lot on the camper. It just fits right on your eyepiece. And
This is at Bridle Path, brand new sewer line, was built maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Bridle path.
Bridle Path.
you weren't supposed to say where it
There's
was.
no sewer in it, as you see, it's brand new. Never been used.
Oh, so it's never been used. Okay.
They don't poop. in
But
it.
you can tell there's a problem with it.
First joint.
Look at that.
Does that look like the right material to you? Yeah, does it look-
Something ain't right.
Good.
It's awful thin.
That's a towel.
Yeah,
I think
That
it's
ain't
30
Schedule
I think it's
40.
35.
you think so?
Yeah, or something even thinner.
That makes me think it's that store-bought thin wall stuff. to
Look
me.
like Schedule 20 drain.
This whole pipe's elliptical, it's not conformed, and it gets to where it just like this.
Mashed together.
And it's probably, it could be a mixture of the wrong material versus bad construction.
Somebody probably drove a dump truck over it.
Now, Mark, you gonna get back at him for batting out.
No. Where is this at? Where exactly is this at? On Bridle Path now.
It's up very, you
Somebody
know, where
drove
you
a
get
dump
the
truck
very
over
top
that.
part of it,
Probably a
and
couple
pull
of
the sack,
Oh,
it's
okay.
up on that flat plane.
Hadn't been up there.
If you look the way it looks like somebody was mad about the radiator blowing out and drove the dump truck.
Hadn't been up there.
See, it's amazing what these cameras will tell you.
Or a bulldog.
225 and down towards the road. That's as far as I go.
Can you prove it?
Was that the only wonky place, or is there more?
It'll let you put notes, flash.
Okay.
I mean, it froze it in. It's moving. You just stopped, I guess. We were training on this line. This was the training line.
Okay. Well, it's good training to actually find something to look at.
We thought we'd had a perfect clean line to go through and just
Mhm.
train, but we actually found stuff with it.
So
It's
is
holding
it
water too.
supposed to
for-
be a dry line.
It's holding
and
water
used.
already, so it does get rainfall infiltration into
Or
it.
something?
On a brand new line.
And I think it's going underwater now, the camera is. It's a dip. Camera's submerged now, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's full of water.
Hmm.
Look at that bulge on the right.
See, that's a rock,
Mhm.
something that wouldn't,
Is this also an 8-inch line?
yes, I think so.
Don't look like
It's cause it's so long, it's not
This is
perfectly
another
right.
board.
It looks 8 to me, what do you think?
This looks like a Star Wars.
I think it said 8 on
Well, not this one, the one that had all the speckles
it. This is an example of
Video game.
either bad inspected or something. It's done before anybody's time, most of it. This is what not inspecting your lines and making sure it's done right costs you. This is a brand new line, ain't never made $1, probably ain't made much money off of it at all.
So
Or,
how long has it been underground?
I believe around 8 years.
Bridle Path,
Probably that.
2005.
I was gonna say 5 or 6. I don't know for sure.
Mine was one of the houses, first house was built, and it was in 7. Started in 7, so I know it was there before that.
So, poor installation.
This is in a paved road too. That means you have to pay to pave it back when you fix it. Or best maybe to offset it on the side of the road and reset it. Cheaper probably. I mean, it ain't very deep, that's only saving grace here, and it's about 4 or 5 feet deep.
Well,
You will have to
you
fix
already
it.
know though, you gotta use new material because they use the wrong material.
Well, I'm saying it looks wrong to me. You don't know till we get it out and look at it. It just
Ain't
don't
supposed
look
to be
right.
flat.
But good material should not have collapsed and turned into an elliptical shape.
With the
It
wrong.
should have little bulges in the
I'm
side.
saying you could just step off and run it on the side of the road.
Well, that would be a choice not to tear this county road up, repaving,
Well,
cause
it's
it
automatically cheaper.
saves you money. You just reset your manholes.
Shouldn't have been like that.
Well, we make them now, yeah.
I'm just
Yes,
I'm not blaming you.
No,
Trust me, I'm no fan of the previous
I
administration.
don't like putting in the road.
We went round and round
That's,
and round.
that was very popular in the old days when they first came
Yeah.
out, and, it's best not to do it if you keep, just another expense you don't see. Cause all the town is like this, it's all in the middle of the roads, everywhere, so any fixing of it is gonna be very,
You get a road project, instead of a sewer project.
yes, you do get a road problem when you get started.
It costs
A
more.
few years ago, they paid East Main and it wasn't 6 months, the water department come through and was just ripping out left. I'm like, man, why didn't they coordinate?
Here was, I think the camera got here and couldn't go no further.
Yeah, that's fully loaded dump truck right there.
And I would
Probably
say
overloaded.
that probably leaks too when it rains.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send that back to Hoover then, Blue Water.
It's probably a good 26, 30 tons on that dump truck. Tires are smashed flat.
Hey, they let me out. We still out. So
But
it's
you're
not
getting-
good to go past me.
We're getting,
Obviously, the other way. Y'all
we're
be
getting
running
customers
downhill.
adding to this line.
Shouldn't be running uphill.
You're getting active customers on this line,
This way.
and it's already in this kind of shape. With that, like I say, we was hoping to get a good test line, but we found, we looked up, found problems, so we know how to identify them.
But you said that's above you.
That's above me, okay, but there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
See all these files,
Built up there, right?
every one of them files just about is the line we
You
can.
know, I'm trapping.
It's gonna be a lot of traffic coming on that park.
We've been busy for the last, trying to get them, trying to get it for the bad, the water table gets back up. We try and get the industrial area, because it was one of the worst that we found visually. It was holding almost over half a pipe of water when it was heavy, water table was high. So we was trying to see where we could get to finding the bad situations.
Anything else that needs to come up tonight? Dwight needs to leave for another meeting,
but I'm sharing.
but I think we're about to the end. Anything?
I make a motion with, I'm sorry.
Have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
You buy something?
I like looking at your motor.
You getting off cheap, cause game one's fixing to start. I have to go. Go bust the dog food, go watch ball game.
Yeah.
Did you get that camera?